How do you know?
Yeah.
That's the little right guy.
Hey, welcome to another corner conversation.
Greg's gonna be so disappointed.
I think Greg likes
What do you
it.
mean?
Sorry,
He
Greg.
loves it. Greg, we're sorry.
Is the VCR recording?
Yes, and they start, and all you've got is.
I pressed a button that said go live, so hopefully it is recording because I would assumed it would have said record, not go live. But
There was an update.
yeah, changes.
Okay.
Whoa, that's good.
Do we
You have to
need?
be persistent.
Oh,
we got
we
through
did.
it.
We were
I,
persistent.
so this is my question.
Mm.
Have you had a moment in life where you were persistent when you felt like giving up?
When I was a kid, I played piano, and
What happened?
I still play,
She still
but
does,
not.
but she
not-
also did while she was a kid.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but I also played much better as a kid than I do now. And there were a lot of
Did
times
you have
where
mom goggles back then?
no, I was a good piano player. I was. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
drop. We're just go with
Okay.
that. And then
How did you? So did you enjoy it? Because
I played.
I had piano lessons, and I guess I don't think I enjoyed it.
I played hours
That's
every day.
I
I
can't believe
played.
that.
I played constantly. Scott's sitting at a
I
piano.
can't picture
No,
it.
it is hard to
Wait, having piano
imagine.
lessons?
Sitting still.
Yeah, maybe that's why you hated it.
The lesson, like I can't picture you sitting here and listening to someone and doing. No, it's just
With Marlis Junkie sitting around over my shoulder.
yes.
The thing that I think is that my life would be so much different if my last name was Junkie.
What is happening? I was
think that's
just
true.
trying to. Is Scott
You-
Junkie?
So you took piano
Because
lessons.
Marlis Junkie was my piano teacher,
Yeah, her name is Marlis
and I
Junkie.
did not persist. The last name was
Shout out
Junkie.
Marlis.
I know.
But how would your life be different if your last
I
name
don't
was
know, I just
Junkie?
feel like I've always wanted to be a junkie. Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. A piano. Thought I was telling a story, but
Yeah.
you know, it's Scott's turn.
So you took piano
I took
lessons.
piano lessons and I played and we competed. Like I did a few competitions a year, and
Wow.
often the piano pieces I picked were harder than what I could actually do.
Yeah.
But I needed that because like that making it difficult made it interesting instead of like something that was easy to play.
Mm-hmm.
And there were many times you were being so intensively, you're
What do you mean?
paying attention so well now
I'm
that
trying so
he's,
hard to talk.
yes, he's trying so hard. But there were a few times where I'd compete and it would go terribly wrong. Like one time,
Did you stop?
one time I went up and I didn't even remember the first note. Like the whole thing was gone.
You crumbled?
And I just sat there and waited to see if it would come, and it never came. And I stood up and I bowed and I sat down.
Oh, that's what it-
'Cause you have to
this
bow.
This is 20% of the times when I'm leading worship.
I forget the first note.
I'm like,
And then he stands up and bows and goes.
Yeah. I did
I
it.
love it when I look at somebody, like I look at Brianna Olson, who's in the congregation, and I go, do you remember how this one starts? Because I see it in a bunch of chords. and
Yeah, nothing. I like when I play a chord and I start on the wrong note of the chord, and then all of a sudden you're singing it in E instead of C or something like that, and you're like, that's not right.
Then that's when you persist.
You persist.
Like,
I have
I'm gonna
also
turn
done
the
that.
6/8 song into 4/4 in the wrong.
And it's gonna go forever.
So I've
No,
persisted that way
Your
too.
story actually made me remember. Like I was like, the first thing that came to head was tiling northeast.
Yes.
But the second thing that came as you were talking was my last semester of my bachelor's degree at
Yeah.
college. I had it was vocal lessons and a jury and everything, and I had to sing 3 songs, and one of them was something it was Latin. One of them I got to pick, and one of them was a German song that I practiced. I had them all memorized. I had it. I got up there. I remember the first 2 words and could not for the life of me remember the rest.
Yeah.
So I la-la'd the rest of them.
Scat.
And we got to I went through the whole song. Got to the very end, and they actually gave me high marks for remembering all of the notes and everything, and like
Yeah.
volume, and they're like, "That's how you get through a song and forget the words." And I was like, "Cool." That's
That was much
Persistence.
more high stakes than like
There you
my random performances. But yeah,
Luckily, one
that
of the people
was-
on my jury was the jazz instructor.
so you could scat your way. I have to, like, there's been a couple times when I took vocal lessons and, like, tried to scat, and it's terrible. I hate it so much. I don't have, like, however you decide to
The
change.
sketchy?
Yeah, like, decide to change from, like, la la to da da or
It's-
zaza or whatever. I'm like,
certain,
got it.
I'm
But
fairly
I have no
certain
idea.
You can't scat well if you don't have a mustache.
Oh, that must be it. And I, no, I'm just kidding.
Look up Scatman John. I'm just
All
saying.
right, good to know. Good to know. So there you go. Any persisting? I mean, you have to persist a lot with
Yeah.
performing.
Yeah, I made up
You're
the
still driving?
entire third verse to a song once.
Yes.
Yeah, in the middle of performance, and only a
Oh,
few
man.
people noticed.
There you go. Push your way through that. That's
Yeah.
a fun little moment.
Yeah.
I don't think of a specific one. I think I can be pretty persistent.
You're
Not
persistent.
necessarily-
Persistent is a word.
Yeah.
I think you persist quite often.
Persist in lots of things.
Mhm.
Sometimes misplaced. And
Misplaced persistence.
That's unfortunate,
That's
yeah.
gonna sit in the crock pot for a while.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I think you also just I mean, the corner world is
Yeah.
filled with moments of having to persist
yeah,
through
and
tough moments,
I mean, it's-
tough days.
It's not just isolated for sure to a pastoral moment or whatever. Is that being a follower of Christ, doing like life is just jam packed with moments of
Mm-hmm.
choosing to persist. And the focus of this series of Second Kings is the question is how are you going to persist? Because people do. I think even people that you would say, they're not very, maybe even say that they wouldn't be very persistent, but they're persisting at not being persistent.
Yeah,
That double
yeah.
negated it.
No, that makes
But,
sense. Yeah.
And as we walk through Second Kings, there are people that persist in doing things that the examples that were given to them that were poor. There are
Mhm.
people that persist in doing good, and today, as we come to Second Kings, this is chapter 2.
Yep. Yep.
It's Elijah and Elisha. There's a lot of strange in this narrative. I think that's fair to say. The guy that was afraid of dying 6 chapters before,
Yeah.
whatever it is, all of a sudden he never dies. He just gets taken up into heaven. But the thing that we're bringing to the surface in this is that Elisha asked for a double portion
Mm-hmm.
and of his spirit, and that we talked about this earlier this week. That this wasn't a declaration. I want more. I want to be double
Yeah.
you. But this was the double portion is what is given to the heir, the family heir.
Yep.
And so this really was a moment of adoption, which is pretty beautiful. That's a character trait of God, is that of this adoption of being taken into family. And so Elisha, who I don't think, other than when some people mumble, it sounds like the same name. It doesn't give any inkling that they are familiar related at all.
No. Mm-mm.
But also Elijah says, I want a family inheritance of this prophetic work that you're doing, to be a part of that. And when you're done, I want to carry that on. And it wasn't just this, give me more, which I think is, could be a thing.
What were you gonna say, Rich?
Well, we're talking about persistence. At the end of 2 Kings 2, the word persisted is literally used misplaced persistence. Because Elijah, they come and say, I have 50 men, let's go find Elijah. And Elijah's like, no, don't send them, you're not going to find
Yeah.
them. They're like, but... And they persisted until he was
Yeah.
too embarrassed to refuse.
Yeah.
So then they sent 50 men for 3 days looking for someone he knew
Was gone.
rode that fiery chariot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, so
That's funny.
Elijah is, the super summarization. He's traveling around the region doing some errands, some prophetic errands. And
I like
Elisha is hanging out with them. Elijah is saying kind of repeatedly, go do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Elisha says that I'm going to hang with you. Well, he makes that request to be this heir, and then Elijah says, well, you have to be with me till the end. And thinking about just discipleship being this persistence is a huge part of discipleship. Discipleship being intentionality and relationship in order to keep our trajectory focused on Christ. I thought a lot about this is that there's often an excuse to say, if I would have good people discipling me, I would be a lot better at this Christian thing. But this narrative, the story shows that this wasn't a make or break by Elijah. It was Elisha, the one being discipled, who persisted. And I think that's an important part to our equation as we seek to grow in our faith, is that we shouldn't just wish that we had better people investing in us, but rather push hard to be connected to those that are discipling us.
So my question, like something I've been thinking about, and I think I have thoughts about it, but why do you think Elisha was so persistent? Like, he was persistent,
Yep.
but why?
But why? Well, I think it's the piano narrative. When you see something you really value,
Yeah.
I think that's usually a part of persistence. And so I think that he saw the weight of what needed to happen, and he saw the value of what Elijah was offering, and he just put that together. He was like, he was not going to be denied.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I think that does sum it up. Like, there is something valuable here, and he wants to continue doing. I think there is some like honoring of Elijah, wanting to continue doing what he was doing. Like, instead of going his own way, he wants to continue to do what he's been doing with Elijah. And like, I always think it's interesting when in the Old Testament they always name like Yahweh as like the God of their fathers, or the God of David, or the God of Elijah, and it's like this is him stepping into like, you are my God. Like, you're not the God, not just the God of Elijah, you're my God in this moment, and wanting to persist in that. Like, it's weird because there are some weird moments in these stories that are uncomfortable for me. Like when Elijah in the last chapter, like, took out 100 men because, they were looking like for Beelzebub. And then here some young men, some kids come and tease Elisha, and he sends a bear after them to maul them. Two she-bears, two female bears to maul them. So there's like some really uncomfortable, like, what is happening in those moments? Not just like, why was that allowed, and also why was that the response of the prophet? Like, shows some imperfection, but, or at least in my eyes, some imperfections.
No, for sure. My simplistic processing of it, which is something, but I just think that there is continual reminders with all of the kings and the prophets that they are not deity.
Yeah, right.
I love it as we go into the next chapter, in chapter 3. It's talking about Ben-Hadad, right? No, is that Ben? No.
It's Elisha's ministries and the things he was doing.
Yeah, but the king of Judah was
Jeroboam or Rehoboam, or is it a bomb?
after Asa.
Oh, after Asa. Why am I blanking?
Anyway,
I'm trying to write
he was
it down. Joram.
Jehoshaphat? It was Jehoshaphat.
Jehoshaphat. Oh.
Yeah, sorry. But the fun thing about this, and it says for Joram as well. Like, Joram is great. That's even a better illustration of this, is that Joram was not as bad as his father Ahab. It's like the summary of the first verses of 2 Kings 3. He's not as bad. So it's like, oh, things are good. But he's still
bad. Yeah.
And so, like, there is, it's not necessarily easy to process, and it's kind of a bit hard way to do relationship. But it definitely is that we're not, throughout Kings, this isn't a narrative that's building towards, well, that was the good one, let's get back to the good one.
Yeah.
This is the person, or that's the hope. Again, God is it, and the people, even the good ones, have issues.
Yeah.
And I think that, Elijah, just in his relationship skills are, at least in our contemporary culture would be like, he's not nice.
Well, he just shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like he's like suddenly there's no relationships.
Yeah.
Like it's just
And Elisha, he is
Sorry.
a little snooty as well.
yeah.
And
He might have learned it from Elijah.
and
I mean,
exactly. And so, my again simple processing is that if a lot of scriptural narrative is turned to an extreme in order to swoop me in,
Yeah.
you can be a messenger, you can be a prophet of God, somebody who speaks word and truth and is discipling, caring for others, all those things. And even the greats had issues. I'm like, oh, good.
Yeah. Right.
And
yeah.
so when you take that into a zoomed out perspective and you go, like, were the atrocities happening here because God was mean or these people were flawed?
Yeah.
And sometimes things just happen. Like there's
Yeah.
all that tied into this, and Kings
Like-
is really good at making that complicated,
Yeah.
but also trying to make it clear.
Well, and I think like yes, like things just happen. People are flawed, and there are consequences. And we saw when was it Ahaz when he was humble, like suddenly God was going to forgive him and said, "Okay, I won't do this to you. So I'm gonna do it to your son though," which is always confusing. But
It was
like
Ahab, the
Ahab,
worst,
oh yeah, the worst of the worst. And so Ahaziah like did die the way that God said Ahab was going to die. But if Ahaziah looked at it differently, if he had a different response, if he was humble like his dad in that moment, like he was only humble for a moment, but like would that have changed the response for Ahaziah? You know,
Yeah.
like
And
He
it's,
was pretty persistent in that.
yeah, he
I
was.
mean, by the time he was, by the time Ahab died, he was probably in his 20s or 30s.
Yeah,
So he had, it wasn't like he was just this little kid who didn't see what was going on with his dad and see God come down every time and say, okay, I'm going to,
yeah,
so he had seen this over and over and over again. He was still like, nah,
Yep.
I'm more going to side with balls above.
Yep.
And the next king in chapter 3, Joram, is another son of Ahab.
yeah,
And he has
Yeah.
a military victory by the miracle of God.
yeah,
And so he had issues, but he also had a moment of them again turning to God.
yeah,
Late, but turning to God. And so, I again with persistence in like being discipled or growing, maturing. I think that education is a great picture in it. I don't think you can make it through. Can you make it through? You can make it through high school without being persistent, probably.
Yeah.
At some degree of.
Yeah.
Well, you can make it through middle school for sure, but like high school, like that's when it starts to impact what's next. And
Yeah. And in undergrad, I think there's got to be some moments of persistence. It just
Yeah.
continues, and then you take things like marriage, you got to be persistent. Parenting, being all of these things you pile in life. Persistence is such an important thing. And then when it comes to like I'll use first person, but my relationship with Christ, I can find myself going, well, I'm very persistent in lots of things, and am I being persistent in like practicing my piano, but in spiritual disciplines? Am I being persistent in them? Am I being persistent in having intentional relationships? Am I giving? Am I like demanding that time? Yesterday I had a Zoom call with one of my coaches, Dan Serdal, and I don't pay him, but I am persistent to make sure that we're meeting at least once a month. And I've done that for years, and with him and other people, and the fruit of that, every time I'm done with that, I go, boy, I've got a lot of room to grow, and also I know what I'm going to do next.
yeah,
And without that,
I know.
so hard.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, I do think that we can be, like, we talked a little bit about the difference between being persistent and being stubborn. And, like, they're pretty similar, but, like, there's some definitely negative connotation, just the word being stubborn, you know, and like even in marriage, like you can be persistent in the wrong things. And
Yeah.
I think in
Yes,
all
persistence.
these relationships, there is opportunity to really be persistent in the wrong way. And so how do you keep yourself going the right direction?
Mhm.
Rich was gonna say something.
Stubbornness just misplaced persistence.
Maybe.
I kind of think so. But
Interesting.
Well, we're in this conversation on Sunday. We're going to talk about immediate gratification
mm-hmm.
and that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but again, there has to be a healthy balance in how we're healthy as a follower of Christ. That there are things that have immediate gratification, and there are things that you may never know. Never have that gratification moment, and to still be persistent in the midst of that. I'm going to work to be healthy as a follower of Christ when it feels exciting, and when I have no idea why I'm doing this again.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be such a healthy target.
Rich's wrap up. You got a good wrap up for us?
Well, the first thing is not a wrap up, but I went through multiple different translations of this chapter because I was today years old when I realized that Elijah wasn't taken by chariot. Elijah was taken by whirlwind. The chariot just split him and Elisha. That's fascinating. Fascinating. No, I think the idea of persisting towards like when we talked about you brought up like in the coffee shop world or whatever, like we have to be persistent in many different areas. Like every single moment you have a choice of where am I gonna keep pushing or keep doing like these things. And all I could picture was those games where it's like there's 10 different chords that start and then they all get jumbled up and you have to decide which one actually gets to the end. And I feel like that's a Christ follower's life is every day we have a choice to make, we have a chord to pick, and the way to pick the chord that we like to be persistent in something is to base it on Scripture, to base it on life of Christ, to base it on these teachings that will bring us to the right spot eventually, and sometimes we just don't.
Yeah.
And that's where a couple weeks ago we talked about trust, like how do we look at Scripture and the Bible and God and all of that, and still not trust and pick the wrong things.
Yeah.
So I think it all ties into the misplaced persistence happens all the time because it does. But to get to a point of real, true, godly persistence is to be in Scripture, is to be with people, is to be part of the body of Christ and all of that. So.
To do that and do it together.
Yes, do it together. Do it together. That's the one.
I love it.
Boom.
All right.
Thanks, Elijah. I don't know what to do.
I know I pressed stop, but it's not stopping.
I left. It's just gonna be Rachel.
It's just being very
Slow.
Hey, say hi.
Here we go. Oh, nope, no.
Leave it. Can you leave? What are you trying to say?
Is Tab still using my...
It's connecting to studio.
I can rejoin, so it's still open.
Oh, thanks for joining.
Thanks, you left. No, that's terrible. What's happening?
This is a good one too, so I hope it's alright. I mean, it's still going.
Yeah. I pressed
Where?
I've pressed stop numbers like multiple times.
Maybe mute the microphone.